Coming up on the Broadway Shuffle, what Texas Tech must do to avoid an upset against UNC Wilmington. And we give you the upsets that you need to pick for your perfect bracket. That and much more next on the Broadway Shuffle. All right, welcome to episode 63 of the Broadway Shuffle. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, I am Brennan here with Conrad, Clayton, and Zyler. We are getting antsy for the anticipation of Thursday's games. The bracket is almost here. We're going to walk through what Texas Tech needs to do to avoid an upset against UNC Wilmington, and then we're going to go through a little bit later in the show, go through some upsets you need to be on the lookout for and fill out a perfect bracket. Conrad, I made a promise to our fans that once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I would no longer ask them to subscribe. And we hit that. So thank you to everybody who has subscribed up to this point. We cannot wait to continue to grow, but we are so appreciative of everyone who has tuned in and helped our show continue to grow. But Conrad, I made a promise to stop doing that, but I don't believe you did. So go ahead.
No, I didn't. And our listeners know 63 episodes in that Brennan Baxter is a man who keeps his promises. And we're going to hold Brennan to that promise that he made. But I did not promise to not ask you to subscribe. So if you're here for the first time, if you've been watching for a while and you have not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Helps the show grow, helps us get bigger, helps us have other guests, helps us, expand the reach of this show into the corners of Red Raider Nation. Yes. Yeah, and feed our children too. So hit that subscribe button. Follow us on Apple, Spotify. Want you to keep up with us. We want this to be your go-to listen every day, every Monday and Thursday, and weeks like today, every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So subscribe to the show. Thanks for following us along, and we'll be here for many, many years to come.
Hey, you did well. That was a great message. Well done.
I was born for that moment, Brennan. I was born for it.
So Z, obviously, Clay, welcome as well. We've obviously got a big week ahead of us. We have time to kind of dissect Texas Tech because Texas Tech does not play until 9-10 Thursday night. So, but obviously for our viewers and listeners listening to this on a Wednesday, we wanted to go ahead and give them what they need to know about UNC Wilmington before considering a run to the Final Four. We got to take care of business first against the 14 seed. So I want to get right into the Seahawks, not Seattle, but of UNC Wilmington and what we need to know about this team. So Z, I'll go to you first. Clayton, I'll have you follow up. What initially would you need to know about the Seahawks that would be a cause for concern to avoid a potential upset?
Yeah, you want to make sure you respect all your opponents. The one thing that's going to look different about this team is they're going to be bigger than you. They got 6 guys over 6'5", 5 guys over 6'7". A lot of this information is going to come, credit of Chase Allen. So if you're not on Red Raider Sports, subscribe there. He puts out some really good previews. But yeah, it's a tall team. They play through the post. A couple other things. They're really looking to get to the free throw line. They want to shoot free throws, and they're really good at it. You got to make sure that you stay out of foul trouble. That's something that we've struggled to do at times. You can think back to some of those games where Toppin or Federico get in foul trouble. I do predict that Federico has 2 fouls in the first 4 minutes, so that's going to be take it to the bank. If you can find that prop, bet it. They do. The one thing that I love is they are 251st in the country in 3-point rate. That's not good. They're going to let us shoot threes, and they don't do a good job shooting threes themselves. So if you're making shots, I think you're going to be in a good spot. A couple guys that I'll mention before I pass it over to Clayton. Really, the one piece that kind of worries me a little bit is Donovan Newby. He's their little guard. Reminds me, I don't know. He's kind of a he's a stockier guard. He kind of uses his body a little bit. Not a great shooter, but he wants to get to the free throw line. If you can just make him hit tough shots, if that's how they end up winning, and he's just hitting a ton of mid-range floaters and fadeaway mid-range shots, whatever. But yeah, that's going to be their guy that kind of makes the offense go. That's the one piece that I would kind of be concerned about is him. If he's getting to the free throw line a lot and getting Hawkins in foul trouble, getting Christian in foul trouble, things like that, that's where I'd be a little bit worried. Clayton, any other players that you would kind of be concerned about?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with Newby. The only other player that really concerns me is Kamari McGriff. He actually looks like a player that would be playing like for Tech or a high major program. He's, I think he's 6'8". Looks like a really good defender on the few highlights or cut ups that I watched. So I'm definitely watching out for him, but I think you're exactly right. Like if Newbie has a bad game, I don't see how they beat you. And that's not because they don't have other players that are good, but they don't have the guard play outside of him that can really keep up with you, I don't think. And then they have the big 7-footer that's like 250 pounds. I expect him to probably get some points off post ups, but I also expect him to struggle in pick and roll, or if he can get out and run. I just don't think he can keep up with you. So I think it's really those three guys you have to focus on, specifically Newbie. I think if you force him to have an inefficient game, then they would have a tough time beating you.
And you need to rebound. They're going to try to feast on the offensive rebounds. So they want to beat you on shot volume. If you can just secure the glass, you need a big game from Toppin and Williams. Your guards need to rebound well, but Toppin's he's going to be outsized a little bit. So he's going to have good position, not pick up fouls. They want to play through that post and make sure that you're finishing those possessions and not letting them score on putbacks and things like that.
Yeah, and I'm reading some numbers here, Z. I mean, so UNC Wilmington 105th in Ken Palm. Mom, that's a metric, by the way, if you're listening. My mom listened to our episode yesterday and wrote down some notes, and she said, Greg Sankey, who is he? Ken Palm, who is he? And so it was pretty funny to see. So 105th in Ken Palm, 84th on offense, 184th on defense, 109th per T rank, 76th on offense, 184th on defense. And then 29th in the country in OR percentage, 50th in the country in free throw rate, and 251st in the country in 3-point rate.
Scary.
So if you're talking about a team that's kind of contrasted you, like, there doesn't seem like the offensive metrics are very, obviously this is not a Power 4 program, so you're not going to expect them to be as high as that, but definitely this matchup favors you. I even read an article where it's like, the guy said, man, I was really excited about UNC Wilmington as a 14 seed. And if they played anyone but Tech, I might have picked them. But like the matchup against Tech is just not favoring them at all. So even though they do have a couple guys, this is a game that you should handle. I'd be very surprised if this game is getting to the last 10 minutes of the second half and you are getting a little anxious.
Yeah,
agreed.
If you're hitting shots at 30%, like if you're shooting three from 30%, hitting your free throws, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked back on Ken Palm to 2019 because I remember that Northern Kentucky team was like a popular upset pick from some people. They were actually top 100 in Ken Palm, and they were one spot behind West Virginia, who beat you in the conference tournament. So,
wow. Yeah, and I actually watched highlights of that game recently, and Northern Kentucky was in that game, into the early second half, and then we obviously so like I think that's another tip maybe for this. It's like don't start freaking out within the first 20 minutes. It's a lot of anxiety and nerves building up into the first game of March Madness. It might take a little while to get your feet going. You'd love to get out of the gates and get up 25-10 early and just kind of shut it down, and hopefully that happens. But just because they might hang around for a half and hit some shots, usually you can start taking care of business there over the course of 40 minutes. Conrad, any reason for you, cause for concern, confidence level, maybe the state of the Kool-Aid factory going into March Madness might be a better question to ask you.
Well, no, you said all those numbers, and I read some of them earlier today, just kind of prepping for this and thinking about the first round matchup. I'm not particularly scared for this team. This is a team that you should beat pretty handily, but again, we know that anything can happen in the tournament. So I think you'll win this game. I think it'll be pretty clear who the better team is. It should be. If it's not, that'll be scary. But then again, you never know what can happen. They may play the game of their lives, and that'd be great for them and terrible for us. But we obviously don't want to see that happen. Say the Kool-Aid factory, though. The Kool-Aid factory has kind of been, it's been something that's been on the back burner for us because it's normally a football thing. But, as we head into the tournament and we're a 3 seed for the second time since 2019, obviously going to the Final Four that year, the Kool-Aid factory has to be at an all-time high for the Broadway Shuffle in basketball just because of what we can do. Now, the only thing that would put a little sour taste in that Kool-Aid is if Chance McMillan or Darion Williams could not play for whatever reason, or if they were limited. But right now, I feel like the Kool-Aid's factory is firing on all cylinders. So if you need some, let us know in the comments below. But make sure you subscribe first. So I don't know if you guys, what y'all think about the Kool-Aid factory. We haven't talked about it in a while, but it is up and running for basketball and for March Madness.
What's the name of the Seahawk? What would a Seahawk flavor be? This seems like a very difficult Kool-Aid
I
flavor.
like Conrad on the spot for a Kool-Aid flavor. This is
Yeah, I
where
like
he
doing
thrives.
this
Yeah.
mid-episode. Yes.
Yeah. Conrad, what do you got for us?
Seahawk. I have no clue. I don't know. Seahawk is a really
Seahawk
tough
soda.
one.
Should we just name
Seahawk
it
soda
Cougar
is
Juice?
good with me.
Should we?
Yeah, we're actually just going to be sipping on that Cougar juice, Conrad. What do you think?
Should we just keep it?
Hey,
keep the most
we've got
consistent
plenty
juice
of Cougar
possible?
juice. I don't. Seahawk soda is fine. It just. I don't know.
Yeah,
There's something
that's
about
not-
it. Maybe it'll come to me and we'll announce it later on the episode. So stay tuned
Yeah.
to hear what
Or
the
let us
wish
know in the
Seahawk
comments. Let
Kool-Aid
the
flavor will be.
fans pick the flavor.
Yeah.
I
you know,
wish
but-
we had a
fine.
recording of the flavors that we didn't select. We had some truly atrocious ones in our drafts.
Yes, we did.
I think back to the
We did.
that would be a really funny like blooper reel to release or something because
Yeah.
there
we
were
should
some.
do that. There's a lot of
There were some really
intros
bad-
we could release too that would make sure I
All
never got a
explicit.
job. I never got a
We
job.
will not
again.
release
Yeah.
those. But what I will say is the Kool-Aid factory for football is already. It's still under renovations. It's ready. It's gonna be like the Womble training facility. It's just gonna be 10 times bigger.
Bigger. Yeah.
We have
So,
separate factories for football and basketball Kool-Aid.
exactly. We do.
Wow.
We do.
That's
So,
how much money
yeah.
we're bringing in.
That's big time.
That's big time
Exactly.
stuff.
We've got some donors too, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Clayton, anything, I mean, obviously we say this, we talked about it yesterday as well. You never want to be the team. Like if you're Kentucky going into 2022 against St. Peter's and going to 2024 against Oakland, it's like you're a 3 seed, and you've been knocked out twice to 2 teams that you just never thought, like Big Blue Nation would never be like, we're dropping this game. So you never want to say that. But like, I mean, we're not losing this game, right?
I hope. I mean, there's a
No, we're
small
not
chance
going to.
because Kentucky and Purdue podcasts were probably saying the same thing, but I would be genuinely shocked if we lost this game. Regardless of our health status, but I think you have a lot more ways to win than UNCW.
Absent like Chance not being able to go, Toppin rolls his ankle in the first half, and Christian sick. Something where it's like, yeah, you're playing with 4 guys. I think you got a pretty good shot here. You just got to stay out of foul trouble and hit your shots. You'll be just fine.
Yeah. It's just something where, you get so anxious because the more you see other massive programs like 1 seeds lose and 2 seeds have not, and you're just like, man, you don't want to be that team. You don't want to be the team that loses to a 14 seed. And I don't think we will be, but it just kind of, I'm almost more nervous for a first round game like this than I would be against like a Missouri Drake. I'm like, these games make me anxious comparatively to like the second or Sweet 16. Cause you kind of know, it's like, if you lose to Duke in the Sweet 16, like you did 2 or 3 years ago, it's like, okay, you lost to Duke, but it's just, I don't know. It's scary.
People will forget those games. Like if we lose to Missouri, nobody's going to remember that in 2 years. But if you lose to UNCW,
that's just, it's about a pride. It's about pride too, right? Like you never want to lose, but there's certain teams that are better to lose to than others, which is what Clayton just said. But there are certain teams that would make you, put in your headphones, put on noise canceling, curl up in a ball, and maybe cry for a couple days. And UNCW is definitely one of those schools that would be extremely tough to lose to.
I don't think anything will be worse than UT losing to Abilene Christian though in the 3-14 game. That was an unbelievably hilarious upset.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
That was one
Abilene
of the best
Christian
upsets
hit
ever.
like 1-3 and still beat them.
The funny thing about that is that's what got Shaka fired, and that's what ultimately led to Beard leaving your school that year. So
It's a roller coaster of a weekend.
We're just living in
what
the
a
past,
weekend.
aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's live in the present.
And that's,
Yeah,
but
that was-
and I think when we're talking about upsets, and we're going to get into this in a second, it's like, what are some reasons for upset? See, like, when you're watching these 3 versus 14s, 2 versus 15s, 1 versus 16s with Fairleigh Dickinson against Purdue a couple years ago, like what kind of happens? They all kind of have a similar trend of like, you're not hitting shots, you're playing tight. It seems like the teams that kind of get in afraid to lose are the teams that end up kind of losing. What do you think is like one reason why these teams kind of fall? Because if you played a 7-game series, they're either sweeping them or it's 4-1.
Yeah.
Like they're not, it's just a really interesting scenario. That's what makes this tournament so special.
I mean, one, the time factor, you're only playing 40 minutes. The things that you're looking for when you're looking for a Cinderella, generally, you want them to play at a slower tempo. The thing that I've realized over the years, when you pick teams that are great at shooting the three and they're underdogs by 10, they're factoring in this team shooting 40% from three for them to only be a 10-point underdog. They need to shoot like 50% from three to overcome that. And so you honestly want teams that are slower paced, that are defensive oriented, that can either force turnovers, get offensive rebound, things like that are a lot more gritty and a lot more consistent. And then they could have some volatility from the 3-point line. Like if you're a 28% 3-point shooting team, you can go 36. Like that's a huge difference. That's kind of what I'm looking for. The slow paced, good rebounding, fundamental defensive teams. They're not nearly as sexy, but they're generally better bets.
Yeah. So if you're looking in the West region specifically, Drake would fit that bill.
Drake is
11.
the
That's the
perfect
epitome
Cinderella
of
candidate.
what. Yeah. So like they're an 11 seed. Get Missouri. Missouri's almost opposite, fast paced, shoots a ton of threes. So, and then you would be facing Drake in the second round potentially. Would that be would you? So you could see a scenario where Drake would then be able to upset Tech.
Oddly enough, you've played Drake this year. You had a secret scrimmage with them before the season start. You won by 13. I think Bennett Sturts had a really good game, but you have beaten them before this year. You've seen this team, so that would be kind of interesting. It wouldn't be unique. Obviously, both teams are wildly different than what they were doing in late October, but that would be kind of a nice little matchup edge. Could be both ways. You've actually seen this team before. Same with St. Mary's. You've played St. Mary's already this year.
I feel pretty good about the Drake matchup because, like I said on our last podcast, like Tech doesn't play at a fast pace. Like we don't rely on getting a lot of transition buckets. I'm not saying Alabama specifically, but like a team that plays like Alabama matching up with Drake, which honestly kind of is Missouri, that would be more worrisome for me as a fan. If you're a team that relies a lot on getting out in the open and then you play a team that slows it down so much like Drake, that would concern me more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into this. I mean, I think anything else? I guess any X Factor final things we want to hit on UNC Wilmington. I mean, this is
enjoy the ride.
Yeah, we don't want to overlook UNCW by any means, but this is something that we don't need to spend 30 minutes hashing out. It's like go take care of business and enjoy it. Yeah. So let's get into this.
We've said that. This final note, just enjoy being in the tournament. Don't take it for granted. It's really hard to make this tournament. Maybe harder for teams that are not blue bloods, but it's just enjoy the ride, enjoy being a part of it. There's teams that have Nebraska has never won a tournament game. Think about that. That program's been around forever, and you've had so much success. Enjoy it. Don't worry about next season. Don't worry about the portal. Let that will all have its time. Enjoy the time being in the tournament. So let's get into what you had next.
Okay, so obviously the real reason people are here listening is they want to know what we amateur experts think about what upsets you should pick and who you should be looking at in your bracket. You've got this listening to it on a Wednesday, so you've got roughly 24 hours from the time of listening to this, a little over, to finalize your perfect bracket. We're going to help you do that right now. The first question I want to ask is, because this is a big deal, because a lot of people just kind of lock in one seat. Oh, go ahead, Conrad. Sorry.
Hey, you missed the announcement, man. If you have not joined the Broadway Shuffle bracket, click the link in our description below.
How could I forget
make sure
that?
to join there. We will announce prizes as the weeks go on. So we're still debating those things. We got some disagreement here amongst the Broadway Shuffle. It's not always a honeymoon, but we're figuring out what the prizes will be. But make sure to click the link in the description and join the group on ESPN.
Guys, he's becoming a pretty good host here. I don't know. I might have just lost my
job.
You're just forgetting the essentials, man. I don't know what's going on.
I'm too excited. I want to pick upsets, man. It's what I'm here for in March. So if one seeds, we're gonna go here first. First question I have for you guys, I have a couple, is typically a lot of people just kind of lock in a one seed to the Elite Eight and Final Four. Everyone on ESPN and CBS does this too. They're just like, here's all the one seeds in the Final Four. Which one seed, if you had to pick one, do you think will not make it to the Sweet 16? So they should get past the 16 seed in their first round game, but they'll lose in the second round. If you had to pick one seed, who would it be? Clayton, I'll go to you first.
Man, if there was any other one seed playing Gonzaga in the second round, I would choose them, but I just don't see Houston losing prior to the Sweet 16. So I'm actually going to go Auburn, and that is because, either team that comes out of that 8-9 game, Creighton or Louisville, I feel like could beat them, especially Louisville. You know, they're
Mhm.
probably 2 or 3 seed lines underseeded, and they're going to be playing in Lexington, Kentucky. So that's going to be a very pro Louisville crowd. And then even the non-biased attenders are going to be cheering for the underdog. So I think, if they get hot, they have good guards. I think they have a chance to pull off the upset. Also, Auburn's not playing well. They lost 3 of their last 4 coming into the tournament. So I think Auburn would be my choice.
Okay.
Yeah, Auburn got a little high on their own supply. Auburn players love them some Auburn basketball. They really enjoy the way that they play the game. That would be the team that I would pick. I feel confident in Houston getting out of that region. I think Florida's going to kill whoever they play. I think Duke is going to smash whoever they play. The only team I could maybe see there would be Baylor if they just get really hot shooting the 3. But yeah, I would agree with Clayton. Auburn would be the team I'd pick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if it's Louisville. If it's not Louisville, though, I don't think anybody's losing.
Okay. Conrad?
I was going to say the same thing, but if I have to maybe be a contrarian there a little bit, I could maybe see UConn doing something special. I mean, they do have the magic in the tournament, 2-time defending champion. If they could, if they do beat Oklahoma, which I think they will, but I could be wrong there. I think they could give Florida a little bit of a game, but I don't know how long they do it for. That's just maybe a contrarian point of view to what Zyler and Clayton just articulated. Brennan, do you have any? Do you see the Duke Blue Devils losing or something like that?
The only way I could see Duke falling in the second round is if Cooper Flagg is not playing. And it seems like all systems go for him. At least that's what the reporting is coming into the tournament. I'm going to go Auburn as well. I mean, I completely agree. I think this team. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but it was all Auburn all season, and then now Florida became the darling of the SEC, and everyone's picking Florida to win the national championship. And Auburn's kind of mellowed out. They've lost 3 of 4 to Clayton's point, and I do think that second round matchup. I mean, Louisville 27 wins this year, and
It's pretty good.
You're an 8 seed, and you finished.
They're
You're in the
top
ACC
10 in the AP poll.
top 10 in the AP poll, and they're an 8 seed. So this exactly, Clay. And so it's kind of like that is not your typical 8. And Creighton with Kalkbrenner and a lot of these guys that have been returning, and McDermott's a great coach. They've had a lot of March success recently as well. So those guys are experienced, and I could see them pulling something off. So I think that's a very tough draw for Auburn in the second round. I would pick Auburn as well. So, all right, well, there you go. So, hey, if you want to knock out a 1 seed, might want to pick Auburn, but don't hold it against us if we're wrong. Okay. Next question. Which 11 through 15 seed, so a Cinderella team, here we go, is most likely to win in the first round? So if you can pick anywhere from 11 to 15, you are so confident. Like, this is your upset pick to win in the first round. Who is it going to be? Z, I'll go to you first.
I've got 3 that I'm kind of deciding between. I think I'm going to take, the easy answer would be Colorado State. They're favored as a 12 seed, so that would be probably the best gambling pick. But I'm going to go with Yale over the Texas A&M Aggies. They're disciplined. They beat Auburn last year. Obviously not the same team. They don't have Danny Wolf, but this is a good team. They're a disciplined team. They can rebound. Now, they haven't played anybody like A&M all year, but they've got the shooting to do something against A&M. And if A&M goes really cold and you get the Zurich Phelps one-on-one show, the Wade Taylor one-on-one show, a little bit of my turn, your turn basketball, I think Yale could put a scare in the Aggies. Now, I think A&M's also there's a chance they beat Yale by 35, but that's going to be my pick if I had to lay the money on somebody.
That was going to be mine. I've already locked that in. I think Yale is. I think they beat Auburn last year. Like, this is a team, and they returned a lot of those guys. And A&M is one of the worst shooting teams in the country. We've talked about this, and though they do rebound like crazy, I mean, I don't trust teams that don't shoot well, because in big moments you need to hit big shots. And if they start struggling from the floor, I think, and Yale stays hot, I think Yale could beat A&M. And so that's that 13-4 matchup. Clayton, you got a higher seed, and you got any 14s or 15s that would maybe give me a 14 or 15, except UNC Wilmington, that is most likely to win, if you could pick one.
Yeah. So this is not one that I would actually pick in my bracket. It's not something that I think will happen. But if there is a 15 or 16 seed that wins in the first round, I think it's Bryant over Michigan State.
Wow.
I think I was texting about this with you guys the other day, but Bryant is massive for a mid-major. Their point guard is a 6'7" former 5-star. And I think their 2 guard is like 6'6" as well. So they have the size to keep up with Michigan State. Full disclaimer, I haven't watched a minute of Bryant all year. But from what I've read about them, if one of these massive upsets does happen, I think that's where it would be.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Bryant, 15/2. We've got Yale 13/4 for Z, 15/2. Bryant over Michigan State for Clayton. Conrad, Kool-Aid man, where are we going?
Yeah, I am going to take the easy pick in Colorado State over Memphis. I just that's even the people in Vegas are saying, yeah, you should pick that one. And so I'm gonna obey what they tell me and pick that one. I just think Colorado State's got some really good players. That's a trap game. Memphis has been they've had some good moments this year, but as a whole, I think that Colorado State is primed to beat them. So I will go with the Colorado State. What's their mascot?
Rams.
The Rams.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. How it's tough for me to pick a school from Colorado, but I'll do it here because Vegas tells me to.
Yeah, I know. Well, you got to listen to Vegas, man. That's like
So-
a key rule in life.
I don't even know how to bet, but I'm just gonna do what they tell me here. So
We can talk offline.
Yes. Z knows. Okay, Z. Since you picked Yale,
why don't
I'll
you
pick
tell
another one.
our listeners, Z? Tell them. Let them know.
You just gotta know the right people, and you gotta be able to use a VPN.
There you go. That's all you got to know.
That's all you
There's your secret to gambling in Texas. Okay, so because Z, you picked Yale, I'll pivot. Though I do have them in my bracket beating A&M. Some popular 12-5s. I mean, McNeese is kind of there. Clay, I know you're high on UC San Diego. They've got a lot of dudes that can stripe it as well. But I'm going to go Troy over Kentucky because
I don't hate that.
That's not a bad pick.
I mean, it seems almost unfathomable that Kentucky would lose to a 14
That
seed
would
for
be
the
the funniest upset.
third time in 4 years. But without Jackson Robinson, without Butler, I don't think Butler's going to play. They're thin, first-year head coach.
Yeah.
They got beat up in the SEC. I just kind of feel like it would just be so funny. Like
It would be the
to
funniest.
see Kentucky lose to a 14 seed 3 of the last 4 years would just be comical. That would be awesome. So I'm going to go with
Do you
Troy.
think their fans would think that their program is now cursed after all the success they've had in the past?
Oh, dude, you have to be. And in the back of your mind, too, it's kind of like the Chiefs and the Bills. Like in the back of their mind, like they know they can't, like, oh, man, like we've got
they
this.
know they're inferior.
They know they're inferior. It's like you've got to think in the big blue nation's mind. It's like, oh, gosh, not another 14 seed. Like, I'd rather be an 8-9, like it's like almost there. I think it's just kind of scary. So I don't know if I'll end up picking it, but on paper, I would think that would be one of the funniest ones to see happen.
So since the 2020 season, which obviously there wasn't a tournament, do you know how many NCAA tournament wins Kentucky has?
0? I don't.
0?
Is it 0?
1.
Lock it in, fellas. Lock it in.
I'm going to go 0.
I'll say 1.
Clayton.
Dude, that's tough. I'll say 1.
It is 1. They beat Providence the year before they lost to the season they lost to Kansas State. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
Brennan thought
Okay.
he
One
knew
in the last 5
ball.
seasons.
No.
There's
sorry.
a scenario where the SEC
Kentucky
gets
ball.
absolutely cleaned out in the first weekend. Like they got a lot of matchups that are really not good.
Well,
Like-
and I think that might be part of my prejudice and like wanting to see a lot of this. Like, I want A&M to lose in the first round. I want Kentucky. I want Missouri to lose. It's like I want to see Auburn in the second round would be great. Like anything that get Greg Sankey off of his horse would be
I know.
great for me. So I want to
Yep.
see. And Mom, Greg Sankey is the SEC commissioner. By the way.
He's on the
all right.
FBI most wanted list. Number
Yes,
1.
yeah,
actually.
he's domestic terrorist number 1. He's the Blacklist. If you ever watch that
Yep.
show on NBC, great show. Okay, next question? Which first 4 team? So if you don't know, there are games that are currently happened. Alabama State won won their thriller in their 16 versus 16 matchup. North Carolina crushed San Diego State. And so if you're looking at like first 4, you also have Xavier and Texas in that as well. They're playing Wednesday night. Typically, a first 4 team does advance past the first round. It's happened a lot. Even Final
Every year.
4 teams every year, and even Final 4 teams have come from the first 4 quite a bit. So out of the first 4 teams, you've got North Carolina, who was a big argument on if they should even be in the tournament. You've got Xavier and Texas. We'll kind of keep those as the 11 seeds. Who you got out of there advancing to the Sweet 16?
I think, I hate to say this, but I think UNC is the most likely. I think they're a good matchup for Ole Miss, and then I don't think they would beat Iowa State, but missing Keshawn Gilbert, there's definitely crazier things that have happened, and UNC is obviously talented, so I think it'd have to be North Carolina.
Okay.
Hubert Davis, GOAT coach whenever he's like a 9 seed or better. So I think they made the national title as a 9 seed. I think I'll take UNC. Although I wouldn't sleep on Xavier beating Illinois. Even Texas beating Illinois, I think, is something that could work. So
I agree.
I may pick both of those teams. We'll see.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay, Conrad.
UNC gets 1 win, I think.
Yeah, they just kind of feel like the team that would do. It's like they got crapped on all year. 1 quad 1 win, couldn't beat anyone, shouldn't have gotten the tournament. It would actually kind of be funny, I think, in a way for them to just be like, "Hey, I don't care what any of you guys say. We're gonna make it to the Elite Eight or something, and you guys can just get out of our hair." I don't know. It would be interesting to see, and they do have the talent. RJ Davis, one of the best point guards in the country. He can obviously stripe it from anywhere on the court too. So when you got someone like that, you always kind of have a
future
chance.
Red Raider Elliot Cadeau as well.
Elliot, really? Do you want? I don't like Cadeau.
I don't know if I want him.
He can't shoot.
I would take a flyer.
Yeah.
No,
Cadeau can't shoot at all.
He can't shoot from like even 12
Grant
feet.
can fix him though.
Yeah, Grant can fix
Anybody
anybody.
can fix him. Grant can fix him. Yeah. Well, okay.
Love
so
that we talk about Grant as a perfect talent evaluator and forget that we had like Kyron Lindsay and Devin Cambridge and guys like that were just total buttholes.
Yeah.
To be fair, exactly. he didn't pick Lindsay. That was smart.
Yeah, but I guess Lindsay was still on the roster. I don't know. I guess Cambridge would be the only one.
Okay, so we're going to go unanimously UNC then. There, we'll go 4. So if you're looking at your bracket and you're like, what's this UNC/San Diego State thing I'm looking at? Once UNC is slotted in there, you might want to pick them to beat Texas Tech 2.0 over there in Oxford, and then a potential game against Iowa State without their best player. So, okay, next question for you guys. We're working through these. What surprise team? So I'm going to go 4 seed to 9 seed. So a surprise team in each region. So, you can't be a top 3 seed because none of that would really be that surprising that could make the Final Four. So out of, some of these, we've had a Final Four a couple years ago. You had San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, Miami, and UConn. You've had 5 seeds win the national title. You've had 8 seeds, 9 seeds in the Final Four in the last couple years. Who should you be looking at there? Clay, I got a feeling I know your answer. I'll go to you first. What seed 4 through 9 should we be looking out for?
I actually think I'm going to throw a curveball, but I think Gonzaga, if they beat Houston, then they'll be favored in that next game in the Sweet 16. They have a really good point guard, honestly one of the best point guards in the country, and then Graham Ike, if you don't have a post defender, he can easily put up 20 and 10 in his sleep. So I think if I had to go way down the seed list to like an 8, Gonzaga would be my pick.
I like that rip. That's actually a really good one. It would be fitting if Mark Few's first title came as a 9 or an 8 seed or whatever they are. That would be, perfect for him. I do feel bad that he's never gotten a title. He's gotten really close, just never been able to pull it off.
Yeah.
I think mine would be Maryland. I think they have the size required to play with Florida if they are to meet up with them in the Elite Eight. Or I guess no, they would meet up in the Sweet 16. I don't really worry about the 5 seed in their region. That's Memphis and Colorado. Like, I think they've got a great draw there. I would trade places with Maryland right now if I could. I think, well, maybe not for Florida, but I would take those 3 other teams over the 3 teams that we have. That would be my pick if I had to pick somebody.
Okay, Conrad.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Arizona. My friend Tommy Lloyd over there, who I was told I look like, I'm gonna take him and the Arizona Wildcats. I think that Arizona team did not have the best start to the year, but throughout Big 12 play showed that they are a serious contender. They beat us twice this year, and so as much as it pains me to say that, I think they have a really, really good team from top to bottom. And Tommy Lloyd's a great coach, so I think going into March, especially with their opening matchup against Akron. They should have no problem beating that, and then they get Oregon or Liberty. So they don't have that tough of a path, but I think Arizona could definitely make some noise if they have everything clicking.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona, obviously, we faced them, multiple times this season, and just a great basketball team. I could definitely see them making a run. I'm going to go another Big 12 team here, and it's mainly because of their path that I think they could really pull this off. It's BYU. And
I knew you were going to say that.
And it's the reason it's the Storm and Mormons is because you would get, if they can get through VCU, Wisconsin would be their next highest seed, and then Alabama would be their next highest seed. Alabama is not good at on defense whatsoever. That'd be a
Alabama BYU would be like
crazy, like an NBA game. And so for that reason, now Duke is their 1 seed. So I would kind of, to Conrad, almost like to your point, if Arizona were to knock off Duke or something were to happen there, I don't necessarily see BYU beating Duke, but I could see a clear path to the Elite 8 for them in that scenario where they could easily handle a Wisconsin and Alabama matchup comparatively to other teams. Like, I do think that's a fair path for them to get to the Elite 8 and then maybe make a surprise run to the Final Four through there. I mean, their offense is great. They got really hot at the right time, which is always key typically to a deep March run. You kind of see that. We saw that with NC State last year, right? So I'm going to go the BYU Cougars. Give me some Cougar juice there to the Final Four as a surprise team as a 6 seed. So, okay, Clay, anything, if I give you real quickly, the 5 players that if you're kind of watching, like, I need a guy that could go win me a game, and in March we see these happen. Even the mid-majors, we see one player like go off for 30. We saw Max Amnis do it for Oral Roberts a couple years ago. We always kind of see that guy. But who are the 5 best players in your mind in this tournament that if you're like, I need to pick a dude that just has the best player, I pick a team that has the best player, who would that be in your mind?
I feel like Cooper Flagg is the obvious choice, but I'm going to go to a mid-major, like you mentioned. Colorado State, Nick Clifford. He is so cold. I was watching the game. I think they were playing San Diego State, and he was literally unguardable. I mean, they were throwing it to him every possession. I think even just the West region, man. Like, I feel like him, Walter Clayton from Florida, JT Toppin, Kadari Richmond of St. John's. There's a lot of great players in this.
What's the Gillespie for Maryland?
Yeah,
would be another guy.
Gillespie.
Yeah, I mean, the West region is
PJ Haggerty.
Yeah,
PJ.
West region stacked.
Yeah.
All American.
So
PJ Haggerty.
Yeah. So
I like that, man. Yeah, and that's a lot. And that's the reason I really bring that up, Z, is because we've seen this happen so much in March Madness, where it's like one dude can just kind of carry you and elevate your team, and then the other guys around him just kind of get hot. They feel the aura of what's going on in the gym, and then they somehow pull a Loyola Chicago Final Four run, or a VCU or a Butler. We've seen this happen time and time again. So in your region alone, in the West region alone, there's several guys, to Clayton's point, that could do that and make a run here in a couple weeks.
Yep. Yeah, one guy that I'll mention too, Tatum Conaway for Troy, absolute killer. He is a great player. He's going to give the Kentucky guard. I think Otega Owe is probably going to be on him, and so maybe he doesn't put up quite the game that you're expecting, but he is a really, really good player. He will, I don't remember if he's a senior or not, but he should definitely be playing at a level higher than the Sun Belt. That's another guy that I'd at least keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, man. Okay.
One guy that I hope that Rick Barnes does not terrorize is Chaz Lanier. If you have not seen him play, he's
good,
disgusting as well. But it's immovable object versus unstoppable force with Rick Barnes' March history. So we'll see which one comes out on top.
Oh man, I know, dude. Tennessee, they've had some bad luck. They had a close game against, was it Purdue, on our Final Four run? I think when Carson Edwards was going off against them, and he should have beat Virginia too. Wish he probably would have, looking back. But
I have another
Tennessee's
submission.
Always got bad luck. Go ahead, Z.
For cold ass white boy of the tournament, I feel like there's one every year. It was Jack Golke last year. It was the St. Peter's kid the year before that. Max Shulga for VCU just has like the stanky white boy look. The guy that's like, did he shower yesterday? Like, not entirely sure. Like, watch out for him against BYU. He's going to get shots up. That's another guy.
Good. That's not good for my Final Four, my BYU surprise Final Four pick there.
But just for the stanky white boy of the tournament, he's gonna be on the one shining moment. We should have done like a one shining moment draft, like what moments are gonna be in there. Maybe we should do that after the first round. That's always kind of fun to think about. But that's somebody to watch out for.
I know this. I being a small white former point guard myself, I'm always like, where's like the 5'7" guy that shoots it from 30 feet that I can root for, and it's always fun. Those guys always kind of pop up in March. It's great, to see because they're just so undersized. And Max Abeness for Oral Roberts, though African American, was that as well too, and that was just so awesome to kind of see. When you guys like that, smaller dudes get their moment, it's great to see. So shout out to all the midgets out there. Yeah, so I'm one myself. So let's do something fun to close the show. I want to have each of us, we're not going to fill out the bracket as a whole because we kind of did that on our live show on Monday. So if you want to go back and see most of what we were able to do on a bracket wise, you can check out that episode from Monday. But what we're going to do is there's 4 of us and there's 4 regions. So each of us are going to pick a winner of the region, and then we will pick the final 4 from there. So Conrad, I'll give you, because you're the Kool-aid guy. You've got the tech, I don't know what that is. What is that? The tech sign behind you, CJ Baskerville's hat sitting up there. So we'll give you the West region, see who you pick. Clayton, I'll give you the East region. Z, what region do you want? You want the Midwest? You want the Midwest? Yep. Okay. And I'll take the South.
Okay.
So, Clayton, let's go you first in the East region.
Yeah, this one's a boring pick, but I'm taking Duke. I mean, they're an absolute machine. The only team in this entire region that I could see beating them is Arizona. I don't think Bama, especially with Grant Nelson's health and their defense, I don't think they could play with them. Like you mentioned, like BYU, Wisconsin. I think Arizona is the only team that would have a shot at knocking them off. So I'll take Duke.
And they've seen Duke before. I think that helps.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay. So we've got Duke coming out of the East region. That's Clayton's pick. Z, I'll go to you with the Midwest next.
Man, it's funny because I think it's either Houston or Gonzaga. I think it's somebody from the top side of that bracket. I don't believe in any of those teams down there at the bottom. I think Tennessee just runs into a team that's shooting hot for whatever reason. Like, that's just not, and I hate doing this, but I think it's Houston's year finally. They're coming into the tournament as healthy as they've ever been going into a tournament, and that's with Jawan Roberts being sidelined. I'm going to take the Houston Cougars coming out of the Midwest.
Okay, so here I was all episode talking about all these pundits taking 1 seeds. We've got 2 1 seeds in the Final Four so far. So
you're going to save us.
I'll go next. I'll save the West for last. Best region, Conrad. I'll go to you last. All right, this one's tough for me, but I'm going Michigan State. I think I've always kind of liked having Tom Izzo in March as a safety net for me. He rarely loses in the first round, even when he's had subpar teams. He's found a way to kind of just win a game or 2 in March. He's almost the opposite of Rick Barnes. Like, you can almost bank on Michigan State winning a game or 2 in March. And I like their path. I think, with Iowa State being a little banged up, we talked a little bit about them. And we also talked a little bit about North Carolina as well. I think their path, is very doable. And then we've also hit on Auburn being the most likely 1 seed to lose. So I'm going to go Michigan State out of that region to the Final Four.
I love it.
Good pick.
All right, Conrad, you're up.
But it's not as good of a pick as mine, because one thing that we've talked about, and you've gotten top tier March Madness and analysis on this podcast, but we are still a Texas Tech podcast, right? We do need to remember that. And we do still, have listeners that are 99% Texas Tech fans. And, this has been a year that I think we've all really enjoyed, because I think this is your best team, that you've had statistically since 2019, if not better. It's a fantastic team. But then again, you do have Florida in your region. You do have UConn in your region. You do have, Missouri. You've got Kansas, Arkansas. You don't know what can happen there. Either one of those teams could get hot. I know we said in our last episode, do not pick Florida. And I'm going to stay true to what we said. Do not pick Florida. And so my pick to come out of this region, the West region, will be your Texas Tech Red Raiders, assuming everyone is healthy. I do reserve the right to change my mind if we are not healthy, because we don't know the health of Chance or Darion right now. But I do think this team is special. I think this team can get it done. I think this team is almost in a sense a team of destiny. So I'll take the Texas Tech Red Raiders to come out of the West and head to San Antonio in the Final Four.
All right, that's a great pick. So we've got Texas Tech, Michigan State rematch of the 2019 semifinal there, Conrad, with our Final Four picks.
I told you, team of destiny.
Come on, man. I love it. And then we've got the power of the 1 seeds over with Clayton and Zyler with Duke and Houston. So we'll do Duke Houston first. Who do we think would be coming out of that matchup to play in the national title game?
I feel like Zyler might have a different answer than me, but I just love Duke, man. I don't like.
I'm taking the
they just
Dukies.
Yeah, they got too much offensive firepower for Houston, in my opinion, and a defense that is like comparable to Houston's. So I'll take
If you
Duke.
haven't watched Duke this year, like, there's been Duke 1 seeds that are like, okay, whatever. Like, cool, it's a Plumlee guy in the middle. Like, this defense is nothing like that. They have some killers on this team defensively. Come on, Maluak, the 7'2" freshman or whatever, is an absolute eraser. Cooper Flagg, when he's, it's just matchup nightmare for anybody that they play.
Yeah.
It is shocking to me that they have even lost games this year. Like, I don't know how they lost to Clemson, but that's why you play the games. They're not a national champion right now, but there's a reason they're getting picked so highly. It may get up too high to where it doesn't make sense to pick them in your bracket. They can't be 50% picked, and that makes sense. But yeah, they're really good. I'm gonna take them to the championship.
Okay, no complaints on my side there. I'll go with Duke. They've arguably got the best player in the whole tournament. Obviously, potential number one
Fantastic
pick
coach too,
and a fantastic coach and a former champion as well, in John Schreier. So, all right, Duke is in our national championship on one side. This one, man. Are we going to do this? Like, are we that biased? I don't know. Texas Tech, Michigan State on our side, dude. I don't know. Like, what should we do? Should we just go by?
all I've got to say is we've seen this movie before, guys.
We've
seen the movie
seen
before.
it before. Z, you're usually the one that kind of keeps us all grounded. Like, where is Texas Tech, if this is the matchup, Texas Tech, Michigan State, where would we fall on this? You like us going to the championship game?
If you're healthy, I think you're beating Michigan State by 15. They have been incredibly lucky on their defensive 3-point percentage. Like, teams are shooting like 28% from 3. You're the perfect counter to that.
Okay.
You can defend on the inside. They rely on hitting. Like, you can defend against this team. You can rebound against this team, and you can shoot threes. They would not want to see you. They'd much rather see St. John's or something like that. I think you could beat Michigan State if you got there. I would take Tech.
Well, Conrad, that's all we need to know then. If Z
you'd be favored right now. If this game was played today, you'd be favored.
Okay. Well, okay, perfect. Well, then, Clayton,
Yeah,
any problems with us picking Tech to the Natty?
No, I agree. I think if Tech makes it somehow to the final, not somehow, because we're a good team. If we make it to the Final Four, I genuinely think we're winning that game. I think we would lose. The teams that I'm worried about us losing to are St. John's, Florida, and then whoever we played in the championship. But if we make it to the Final Four, I think we'd be Auburn. I think we'd be Michigan State. I think we'd be Iowa State, A&M. It's funny that there's 2 rematches in that.
In there.
In that region that could happen. But yeah.
Okay, so that leaves us as we close the show with our national title pick, Duke or Texas Tech. And just before we answer this question, we are a Texas Tech sports podcast. But I apologize. I do not see us beating Duke if that's the matchup. I really would have a very hard time. Like, if I take off my blinders and I'm watching that unfold on the court, seeing us beat the Blue Devils. But I hope I'm wrong.
I'll give you the optimistic take. I think Duke would win by 25.
Unless injuries
We
happen,
don't have
man.
anybody that can guard Flag. We don't have anybody.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think Flag would terrorize us.
Darion
Darion
would have to be. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. D5 would have to guard him.
And he's
And
just
Darion on
he's just not
Cooper
quick
would
enough
be.
to.
I hope we get to deal with this, though. I truly hope this is a question we get to talk
give
about.
me a
Yeah,
natty.
of course.
Give me a 25-point loss in the national championship any day of the week comparatively to anything.
Yeah.
Conrad, any chance it's closer than 25? Is that really where we're going to set the floor?
There is a chance. There is a chance that it's 24-point loss and not a 25-point loss. So
yeah.
One thing I'll say on Duke, we don't know that Shire's a good coach. I think he's great at building rosters. I want to see him when it's it's a 4-point game with 4 minutes left in the tournament. Everything's like, what do you got in your bag? We haven't. He has not really proven himself in March.
No, you're right. He hasn't, but I'm putting blind faith in Shire. I think he's I don't know. I don't know why I like him, but he just seems
he's
like a really likable
underperformed.
guy.
Like, he's underperformed with that roster last year. And now he has like the super mega all-star roster, which he did put together. So he gets credit for that. But
yeah, he was like the point guard too that, they have JJ Redick, who was just like the biggest prick ever at Duke. Like I hated JJ Redick.
I loved him at Duke.
Really? Dude, I
Yeah.
could not stand JJ Redick at Duke. And then you kind of get like the Kyle Singler, John Schreier era, and he was like just like the nice guy. Like he would slowly cook you, but kindly, where Redick was very brash, so it's hard not to like him.
Nice
but
guys don't always have to finish last, right?
They're not always.
They don't
In
always have to.
In my experience, they have. But but that's a conversation for another day. So
I just,
okay.
I don't. John Shire doesn't do it for me as a coach. It's like I don't consider him like a top 10 coach in the sport right now.
Yeah. Well, okay. So
they
we'll
lost
go
to Kansas for all.
Hey. Okay. Well, if they lost to Kansas, I mean, dude. Hey, maybe it's a 10.
You have a transitive win over Duke. Just think.
Yeah.
about
Well,
that.
there you go. So even if you lose by 25, you can at least hold your head high and say that.
Yeah, we beat a team that beat you.
Yeah. Okay. So there's our Broadway Shuffle's national champion is Duke. That's who we're gonna go with on an unbiased level. So you can, judge us if this is but by all means, if we're wrong, please roast us. I would love nothing more than for us to be completely wrong on this and have this be the worst take of all time. I would love that. I just don't see if that will happen, but one can hope. So,
Yep.
Okay, guys. Well, that was a lot of fun. We might be back for a surprise episode Thursday morning before. Who knows? If we'll hop on to record. If not, we will be reacting to every game. So you can catch us Friday morning after the UNC Wilmington game. We'll have an episode out as well there, and then Sunday after the Saturday game, we'll be dropping one as well too. Hopefully, celebrating 2 wins and looking forward to the Sweet 16. So, as Conrad mentioned in the middle of the episode, there will be a link in the description to our Broadway Shuffle Bracket Challenge. Make sure you join. The password will be in there as well. We have got a huge group filling up quickly. We want you to join. There will be prizes announced at the end of March Madness. And then feel free, if you like this video, to subscribe to the channel or follow us on Spotify or Apple so you never miss an episode. So for Clayton, Zyler, and Conrad, I am Brennan. We will see you guys Thursday. Let's go. March Madness is here. Wreck 'em. We'll see you next time on the Broadway Shuffle.